Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Halloween 5, which often includes the subtitle The Revenge of Michael Myers, released in 1989. After the previous film ended with an indication that Jamie Lloyd would become evil, head producer Mustafa Akkad was like, nah man, let's just make another Michael movie. Halloween 5 picks up immediately after Part 4, kinda like how Part 2 took place right after the original. But unlike with that situation, Part 5's production was super rushed and had an entirely new crew on it whose work motto was apparently make it up as you go along. Like they literally didn't have a completed script when they started shooting. The result is a bizarre entry that introduces a crappy origin story for Michael and a mysterious Man in Black character who was never even written into the script. They just made him up on the fly to fix plot problems, and man does it show. For all its flaws though, at least this movie still has a bunch of kills. Let's find out how many and get to them. The movie begins right where the last one left off, with the end of that riveting truck sequence, and then Mr. Myers getting lit up by a bunch of guns until he falls down into a mine shaft. We pick up with new footage that follows his escape underground, where he crawls away just in time to avoid the stick of dynamite they toss down there. Then Michael gets into a river, and this is honestly the moment I lose any and all respect I ever had for the guy. How am I supposed to take this asshole seriously when he's floating down a lazy river with his mask on? This scene is just begging for a Benny Hill backing. See? He gets out and stumbles like an idiot onto drier land, and then winds up in a friggin' pirate cove, it looks like, where this beheaded gentleman runs into him, only surviving because Michael passes out before he can properly kill the dude. Then, okay, get this. It fades to black and a title card tells us that it's Halloween Eve 1 year later, and a maskless Michael is just now waking up. He's in the same place, so what? This old dude just let him sleep there for a whole fucking year? What? He grabs his mask, which looks different yet again, and then kills the guy who gave him free room and board for the past year. Again, this timeline decision makes no fucking sense to me, and I hate it. Even worse is why he woke up. Apparently, he has some sort of psychic connection to Jamie Lloyd, who was wriggling around in bed, having a nightmare about the end of Part 4. She woke up screaming, except she didn't, because in this movie, she's lost her voice. Great, just what I wanted to watch in Halloween 5, a silent kid actor. But yeah, it was her fidgeting that somehow linked to Michael and woke him up so he could show off the shitty new wrist tattoo that'll lead to the worst storyline in Halloween history, Stonehenge magic included. Jamie is taken to an operating room where crazy Sam Loomis is waiting to croak into the camera.
She will stabilize. She's dying. No. She has something to tell us.
He's watching over her at the Haddonfield Children's Clinic, where Rachel is currently visiting, because she's still around, which is great. Less great is Rachel's friend Tina, who's a total nothing character. And the introduction of yet another dog, Max, who, you know what's gonna happen to that dog, yo. Loomis is watching over Jamie because the neighborhood hates her guts for having devil's blood in her, or whatever. And also, because someone has to tend to that pumpkin man's Raggedy Ann hair. Rachel goes back home, where Michael watches from the bushes, and she takes over the pantsless role left vacant by Kelly Bookdubeyer's death as she feeds her dog to some super fucking 80s music. I hate that the previous film's savvy final girl became a bubbly airhead in this one, and actor Ellie Cornell was also not very fond of the change. Rachel's in the middle of a shower when Jamie freaks out and draws a psychic picture of Max, signing that the dog's in danger. Loomis calls up Rachel and tells her to go on and get out of the house. Good thing she drops the phone and listens to him despite her lack of clothing, because they're a shape in that house. The cops are called to check everything out, and we're introduced to two bumbling officers like this.
All clear.
Nothing above, nothing below.
Yep, you heard right. There are actually fucking clown sound effects playing when these doofuses are on screen. When did this become vaudeville?
Rescue cats.
Fine dogs.
That's their job.
And we love it.
The Terenzi brothers, they are not. Ugh. In any case, Jamie's dog vision ended up being a false alarm, but that doesn't stop Loomis from yelling in this kid's face, asking her to help him find Michael.
You sense something, don't you? Tell me what you know. Right. Jamie, please!
Instead of traumatizing Jamie more, maybe Loomis should be back at the Carruthers house with Rachel, since Michael is still there and ends Rachel's pantsless adventures by jumping out and stabbing her with some scissors. And just like that, this movie senselessly kills a character who we already had a connection to for no good goddamn reason. It's kinda like Kincaid and Joey in Nightmare 4. It sucks, yo. At least there's another returning character that we already know, though. Sheriff Meeker, who's still putting up with burnt-up Looney Loomis and his real insensitive ways.
Have you forgotten your own daughter? I don't. No, of course you don't forget.
Tina goes to Rachel's house, where Max is somehow thankfully still alive, and lets herself in. When she can't find Rachel anywhere, she just assumes that she left town with her parents. So that means the house is hers for her to roll around with stuffed animals in. Downstairs, she runs into Sammy, another friend who also just let herself in, and the two of them leave, not knowing that another squatter has already claimed rights to the Carruthers house. And he can teleport, kinda. Nah, he's there in the background. The girls frolic around together for a bit before they get picked up by Tina's douchebag boyfriend, whose name is, get this, Michael. Why would this movie have a meatbag victim with the same name as the killer? You'll find out later, don't worry. Loomis shows up to Jamie's room so he can yell at her like a madman some more.
You know where he is?
Good lord, remember when the craziest thing Loomis did was cuss out neighborhood kids? Oh yeah, maybe we actually should have seen this kind of thing coming. He cryptically asks Jamie if she knows why Michael has some kind of power over her, since apparently Michael made her stab her foster mom. And although Jamie doesn't seem to know, the movie begins to unveil the reason with this man dressed in black who gets off a bus and kicks a small dog, so you know he's related to Michael somehow. Loomis takes one of his many firearms and heads to what's supposed to be the Myers house, even though I know the frickin' Myers house, and that is #not my Myers house. This is my Myers house. The OG, son! Loomis walks around the empty house, not hearing the very loud shoes of that man in black following him, who's also got a stupid-ass wrist tattoo on him, just like Mike. Speaking of Mike, right now he's standing by a bush in the middle of the goddamn day, watching Muscle Car Mikey wax on, wax off, and back his bird into a garage to pick up some beer. After Mike gets the goods, Michael Myers walks up and scrapes his precious car with a little garden rake, so Mike gets out to defend his lady's honor and fight this white-faced fool. Of course, real Michael ain't about to put up with that nonsense, so he just grabs Mike by the throat and gets him to his knees so he can stick that garden rake straight into his head. Not a bad kill at all, part 5, so at least you can give us that, you piece of shit. That night, Michael Myers frickin' drives that Camaro to Rachel's house and honks the horn to pick up Tina. And this is when we see why that shitty character had the same name as Michael.
Michael, open the door.
It's to be funny, I guess, as Tina mistakes Michael Myers for her douchebag boyfriend Michael.
Michael, don't I even get a kiss?
See, it's hilarious, especially when she gives him a smooch, or when he skids the car to a stop for her to get cigarettes.
Psycho boyfriend.
Haha, get it? Cause he is? Tina, you don't even know how funny you are. Meanwhile, the children's clinic is having a goblin costume pageant that Jamie's about to be in, even though that don't look like no goblin costume to me. She's joined by her little kid crush, a stuttering character named Bill.
These are for you.
Weird how the stutterers are always named Bill. They still always seem to get the girl though, so whatevs. But Jamie ruins the whole goddamn contest when she collapses to the ground in a psychic fit because she senses that Tina is in danger.
Tina, where is she, Jamie?
Jamie sees in a vision where exactly Tina is, and we get this ridiculous scene where the mute kid and the stuttering kid try to childbirth a sentence together.
Cookie woman.
Cookie woman.
Oh my god, all that for Cookie Woman? What is this movie? It works though, I guess, since everybody knows the Cookie Woman, and Tina gets picked up by the cops. She's brought to the clinic where she has a tearful reunion with Jamie, who finally speaks to say her name.
Tina.
Aw, yeah, so sweet, Jamie. You're finally reunited with your, foster sister's friend? Wait, why should we care about this relationship? Tina's nothing. Jamie pleads for Tina to stay with her, but Tina's like, nah, dude, I'm trying to get some tonight, and leaves. On her way out, she runs into Loomis, and they have a veritable crazy-off.
Be sensible.
I think she took this one, Doc. Tina heads to a party so she can get Night at the Roxbury by a Native American and a, Russian ballet villain? Okay. But also coming to this party in his hot new whip is frickin' Michael Andretti, or Myers, sorry. He creeps through the window as Sammy and her boyfriend Spitz tell Tina they've come up with a great idea. I guess their idea is to suicide by cop, because they run outside where those two doofus clown cops are hanging out and pretend that Spitz is Michael Myers attacking them. Yeah, super hilarious when you're bleeding out to death on the ground with a bunch of bullets in you. Although to be honest, that probably would actually be funnier than these stupid fucking cops and their sound effect accompaniments.
Fortunately, we're lousy cops. Sorry.
You should be. Sammy finds a kitten, because fuck it, and now we've got a bunch of drunk teens in a barn with a whole litter of kittens. Tina chases after one like she's Arya Stark in training, but Spitz is interested in another kind of pussy, so he and Sammy get down to barnyard business. They kiss each other very loudly and are rushing headfirst into UTI territory when Michael appears with a pitchfork to teach them about abstinence. He sticks it straight through Spitz's back, so the dude ends up spitzing out blood, but he dies by himself, because this isn't a twofer like you might have expected it to be. Instead, Michael has an individual death lined up for Sammy with a scythe. At least she gets to fight back a bit after she grabs the pitchfork from her dead boyfriend's body and comes at Michael with it. But it's to no avail. Michael tosses her aside and kills her with a scythe slash and a just off-screen splash of blood. When this crazy party full of dancing lobsters and pensive grandmas finally clears out, Tina goes to the barn to get Sammy and Spitz. In true horror movie fashion, she finds their corpses, so she runs outside and calls for help. But you ain't about to get any help from these dead fucking cops, Tina, because it looks like Dumb and Dumber were stabbed with a pitchfork. I wonder if they sounded like a deflating balloon when Michael stuck them. Meanwhile, Jamie and Billy have snuck out of the children's clinic because Jamie's worried about Tina, that super important sister's friend of hers. They run up to Tina right as Michael targets her with the headlights of his car, and then he just starts driving that thing around with all those race car skills he learned growing up in an insane asylum. At one point, he drives at Billy and almost hits the poor kid before moving on to his primary target, his niece Jamie. He chases after her through the fog and this tree grove that kind of slows him down a bit, and then into a proper forest. Holy crap, I can't believe we're sitting here watching Drag Race Michael Myers for this long, dude. Seriously, since when is his weapon of choice a freaking hot rod? Mikey probably should have stuck with a knife, because he ends up ramming his car straight into a tree and causing a big ol' explosion that gives Tina and Jamie a brief false sense of security. But Michael's up and about in no time, walking slowly towards Jamie in his awful mask and getting ready to stab her until Tina interjects and sacrifices herself to save Jamie. Michael stabs her right in the chest, killing our replacement final girl with a full 30 minutes left to this movie. Oh well, it's a good thing nobody liked Tina anyway. Jamie and Billy are found by Dr. Loomis and a whole bunch of the Haddonfield PD. After they're whisked away to safety by all the emergency vehicles, Loomis stays behind so he can talk to Michael, who's still walking around in that misty forest. Loomis tells Michael to go home, or at least the building standing in for his home, so he can return to where it all began and, I don't know, stop the evil inside him or some shit. It's a whole bunch of idiot talk, but here we have all the cops going along with the plan and planting Jamie inside the abandoned old house as bait for her uncle. But then the cops get a call from the children's clinic and all of them rush off to tend to that. Because if this movie wants to get Loomis and Jamie alone in the Myers house, it's not gonna bother coming up with a decent way to make it happen. Once it's down to Jamie, Loomis, and a single cop, Deputy Charlie, Michael starts making his way to the house, first stopping to kill this other police officer named Eddie in his car by just, beating him up, I guess. Take that, cop who was just sitting there. Charlie hears Eddie's death over the walkie, but is stopped from calling it in by Looney Loomis, who asks him kindly to just stay put and protect Jamie.
Charlie, stay with the little girl, please.
You know, Loomis, that's the second time you've pulled a gun on a cop. You're lucky you ain't dead, dude. Loomis goes downstairs where Michael is waiting, and the doctor tries to tell the killer that Jamie can help stop the rage that's inside of him. Damn, Michael, you're looking like an alien in that stupid-ass big-eyed mask. Loomis's appeal to Michael's humanity doesn't work, of course, and he ends up getting slashed across his chest and thrown through a banister by Michael in a fit of rage. Upstairs, Deputy Charlie and Jamie hear the commotion, so they try to get out of the house through the upstairs window. When Michael starts breaking through the door, Charlie manages to shoot him a few times, but that's old hat for Mikey, who responds by breaking into the room and wrapping a rope around Charlie's neck so he can kill him by tossing him out the window and breaking his neck via hanging. Michael kills a lot of cops. Meanwhile, at the children's clinic, where all those other cops ran off to, we get another couple of bodies to add to the count. Sheriff Meeker lifts a sheet on a stretcher to find this Dr. Hart dude dead, and behind him on the porch is another stretcher with, I guess, the body of Jamie's nurse Patsy, the internet tells me. Looks like both of them died from a case of who the hell knows. Jamie runs away through the Myers house and tries to hide in a laundry chute, which gives us the best sequence of the film and the one that fans of Part 5 always cite when they're explaining why they like this piece of shit, as though a single decently done sequence makes up for the clown cops or the Man in Black mess. It's even a little uncomfortable to watch when you know that behind the scenes, little Danielle Harris was actually in a fair amount of danger, as Michael actor and stunt performer Don Shanks actually stabbed through these walls around her with a real frickin' knife. So yeah, pretty good sequence, but also recklessly and stupidly shot, so I'm not sure it's worth it on balance. Jamie escapes from the laundry chute and finds her way up to the house's attic, which has all sorts of mood lighting going on. Damn, Michael, I didn't know you were so romantic. Maybe you do have a soft spot somewhere deep in— oh, there's a dead dog. Yep, another dead dog, because Michael killed Max. Son of a bitch, come on! Jamie also finds the bodies of Mike and, more importantly, her sister Rachel. Yeah, remember her, Rachel? She's the one without pants, you know her. Jamie backs up and gets inside the decorative coffin up there right as Michael ascends and finds her. He gets ready to stab her, but she stops him with two simple words.
Uncle? Boogeyman?
She tells her Uncle Boogeyman to let her see his face, and he obliges, so we get to see Michael sans mask once again. It's pretty anticlimactic, but I guess that's the point. Aw, and look, he even cries. But when Jamie gets too close, Michael shrinks back and goes on a full-out Phantom of the Opera freakout that sends Jamie fleeing as he breaks all the attic furniture in sight. She runs downstairs straight into the arms of Dr. Loomis, which like a few movies ago would have meant salvation from the shape, but now...
You want her! Here she is, little girl! Come and get her!
Yeah, not anymore. Loomis uses his human bait to lure Michael through the house, being pretty damn creepy while he does it.
Catch the little girl.
Not a game you usually want to play, but I guess in this case it works, because Loomis drops a heavy-looking metal net onto Michael and then starts tranking him up like he's a buck T-Rex. That's still not good enough for Loomis, though, who then proceeds to beat Michael with a 2x4 while yelling at him to die, die, die in a real Tommy Jarvis kind of way. He gets just a tad too excited, though, and ends up having a massive stroke that causes him to pass out on top of Michael like they just got done with a healthy session of lovemaking. Once again, this was originally supposed to be the death of Loomis, and once again, it was retconned later so it wasn't. Some police cars then arrive on the scene, and that's how Michael Myers wound up in a jail cell with a bunch of police looking over him. God, I hate the shot of him sitting in jail, messing with his chains. What is he, bored? It's so stupid. And this movie's got one more shit trick up its shit sleeve, because here comes the jingle-jangling man in black, strolling up to the police station. From outside, Jamie hears an explosion and gunshots, because Halloween 5 is trying to give us a shock ending like Halloween 4 did, only, you know, bad. Jamie walks inside to see the carnage that the man in black hath wrought, which comes out to 7-0 cop characters and also Sheriff Meeker, who's there on the floor somewhere. I can't really discern which one of those corpses is him, but apparently he's among the dead. At least Bo Starr got to escape the franchise before Curse. The movie ends with Jamie seeing that her uncle has been broken out of jail and her crying, "No, no." Hey, what a coincidence! That's exactly what I'll say if anyone ever asks if I want to watch this movie again. Let's get to the numbers. 20 people died in Halloween 5, which is a lot, but keep in mind, a bunch of them were just nameless cops. The victims included 16 men and just 4 women, assuming that one corpse was that nurse, and that gives us a 4-to-1 gender ratio favoring dudes. With a runtime of 97 minutes, we wound up with a kill on average every 4.85 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Mike. It's short and simple, but the actor sells it with this little twitching on the ground. Plus, it was nice to see that character go so early. That dude sucked. Dull machete for lamest kill will go to Dr. Hart and Nurse Patsy, since their deaths don't make a lot of sense to me, and we never hear what exactly happened to them. And that's it. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, came out in 1989 and is the lowest grossing film of the series, which makes sense because it's a pile of garbage. Speaking of piles of garbage, next week is The Curse of Michael Myers, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this week's Kill Count. I want to thank a couple of patrons like Matt Jones, James Ackland, Megan Bade, and Drew Nishke. We're now halfway done with the Halloween franchise. How are you feeling? Do you hate Halloween 5 as much as I do? Probably not. Do you think it's too early to start celebrating Halloween? Do you think you have to wait till October? Next week is most people's least favorite of the series, The Curse of Michael Myers. Can't wait. Thanks everyone, be good people.